be discussing a case study of a client who has been a victim of cyber fraud. Before discussing the case at hand, some information on this crime will be helpful for the viewers. A crime which is committed using a computer that intends to steal someone's personal information, identity, or engage in other crimes is known as cybercrime. These are the crimes committed over the internet or phone. Phishing. Yes, it is telecallers phishing for their right targets over the phone. Crimes over the phone fall in the definition of phishing. Phishing is spelled as Phishing. The scammers misrepresent themselves in order to manipulate the victim into either performing some kind of transaction or giving control of their desktop, thus allowing them to steal sensitive data. Since older people have less knowledge about how computers work and tend to be less techno-savvy, they are targeted the most by these kind of fraudsters. Mostly, people have relatives outside India and therefore end up being engaged in international calls. This gives wrongdoers an opportunity to make calls impersonating relatives and target the vulnerable groups who lack technical knowledge and, of course, are of least unsuspecting nature. Our client, names will be confidential, who is in her late 60s, received a call from a Canadian number. Looking at the number, the client assumed the caller to be her family friend, did not bother about confirming the number or identity. It was a regular WhatsApp call, and the caller realized that he has been mistaken for someone known. That is what the caller wanted, and yes, box 1 was ticked. Taking advantage of this, the caller played the role of pretending to be her relative. The caller asked if he could transfer 25 lakh rupees for purchasing a property in India near the area where the client resided. He further explained how he wants to make the first payment and isn't able to come to India to do so. As the client wanted to help her relative, she agreed to the transfer and shared her account details. The caller sent the forged receipt of the transfer being made to her account, which made the client believe in the authenticity of the same. This call was received around 11 to 12 p.m. The client next morning woke up to 150 calls from the same number. The client, being petrified, picked up the call. The caller stated that due to a medical emergency in the family, he wanted 1 lakh rupees transferred to a relative's number. Guess what? Our old senior citizen, believing the caller to be her family friend and also the transaction of 25 lakhs in her account, transferred the 1 lakh to the account details given. Our client sent receipt to the caller, and now the caller was sure that this target was an easy and thereafter insisted on more transaction on one pretext or the other. That is when the client thought that something did not seem right. This was it. Just when the client checked her account, there were no funds and also no further contact was possible as the Canadian number was now blocked. Later, when they checked with the bank, there was no transfer of 25 lakh rupees. Believe me, it was a beautifully forged slip of the Western Union showing the transaction from Spain. The client did not check the authenticity of the transaction. The sender of the money was an entity from Spain. The caller was from Canada. The money was to be transferred to 5 different accounts in UP, Nagpur, Punjab, etc. Of course, we have been successful in recovering her money as the action was taken very quickly and the cyber cell was exceptionally helpful and cooperative. But why reach this stage? These are the precautions that one must take. Do not attend calls from unknown numbers on Messenger, WhatsApp, or otherwise. If you do, make sure that you first let the caller speak and listen to him or her before divulging or involving yourself in a conversation. No bank account details to be ever shared unless it is your children or parents. That too, we recommend to only send through other mediums, not WhatsApp or Messenger. Prevent using your own pictures as your WhatsApp DPs. Or, if you do, it should be visible to your saved contacts only. The fraudsters possess the ability to morph images and use them as a tool to blackmail the victim. More case studies coming your way in the next episode. For any further queries, contact query@legalhelpnri.com.